bella ciudad. Ay, mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important to know this date because it's the day that we celebrate. Pedro Arias Davila received from the King of España official doctrine for the fealty to be named Panama City, Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, bella mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama, a fishing village it was formerly, right upon the coast of the sea. Cathedral tower built up toward the sky, you can hear that bell toll far and wide. At this time within the nation, there was a very small population, only 100 people or so. First European settlement on Pacific coast, Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. The Camino Real, it paved the way, and in this Isthmus it had to stay all the way to Nombre de Dios. If you go now, you can hear them ghosts. Whoa! Riches came up out of Peru, many ship and the pirates knew all the pearls, silver and gold. Panama City was Pacific stronghold. Then they crossed Panama by mule. Tropical diseases was very cruel. Finally arrived to Atlantic coast, departing for Spain from Nombre de Dios. Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important you know this date because it's the day that we celebrate. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important to know this date because it's the day that we celebrate. Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, bella mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama, Panama City, Panama City. Oh, welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama.
Bienvenido todos. This is Rapping with Rapscallions, episode 22, part 2 of last week's episode, which, man, we talked about a lot, didn't we, Joe?
We did, man. We just kind of ran through history, and 2 hours was not enough.
2 hours was
about
enough.
all the events that have happened in Panama City since, what was it, 1512?
We went way back. We went back to like the formation, like geological formations and stuff.
True that, man. We were talking about Tyrannosaurus Rexes.
Yeah,
stomping around.
And here comes Tyrannosaurus's offspring. Check it out.
Oh man, that is evolution.
Evolution.
Whoa.
What's up, Tyrannosaurus King? We need to get you a little. He's got a little Christmas hat and everything.
True that, man. He's ready, man, for the season. Tis the season.
It's the season.
Whoa. Having a good time. What is he saying?
He's saying Feliz Nicolás. Today's Nicholas. It's the 6th of December, a date in which Germany and other places in Europe celebrate the arrival of Nicholas. And if you're a good little kid, you put your shoes outside and there might be a cookie or a fruit in there. So.
Oh, snap. Well, this morning I found some oranges in my refrigerator, so I'm assuming Nicolau came to my house and he put some oranges in there because they weren't there last night, dog.
That means you've been a good boy this year, Joe. Very, very proud of you, Joe. Very proud. Man. Nicolas is proud of you. Panama's proud of you.
Thanks.
The Rapscallions, the Fan Scallions, they love you too.
No doubt, man. Thanks. Did Nicholas bring you anything?
He did. He brought me back home to Santa Clara. And we celebrated yesterday with my arrival. We got all kinds of fruits, fresh fruits, like grapes and uchuvas and apples and and just a variety of fruits and nuts, and we had some spritzers. We had some
Nice, man.
spritz.
That's always refreshing.
We
Hey, and you
sat
know
out
what?
and
There's one thing that I really enjoy about Nicholas's arrival is that he
what's that?
travels with a buddy of his,
Ah, yeah.
but I forgot what his name is.
His name is Krampus.
Krampus, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna send the diputados de Panama to talk to Krampus because they have not been behaving well during this
Not at
pandemic.
all.
Not
No
at
way,
all.
man. Krampus, for those of you that don't know, shows up and beats the crap out of little kids.
Yeah,
I think he staffs them in a sack or something, right? And then takes them away to
Exactly.
Christmas land.
he's a scary fellow. Very scary.
Yeah. So if you didn't know, now you know.
That's right. We're bringing you worldwide information, worldwide knowledge, and fun all over the planet. Oh my goodness! Do you want to recap? Do the weekly Rapscallions recap?
Weekly Rapscallions recap. First of all, I see two people on Instagram. Anna Jones, how's it going? Chechi, he's back, man. Chechi was
Chechi's
missing
back.
in action.
And where did that guy go?
I don't know, but now he's back. I see he's online. So shout outs to them.
Shoutouts.
This week,
please,
my
Chechi,
friend.
don't leave us.
Don't leave us, Chechi. This week, my friend, I've been trying to get myself into the Christmas spirit because
Yeah.
we're in December.
Yep.
You know, or the holiday spirit. Holiday spirit because it's more than just about Christmas.
All I
It's
gotta
about
say.
the holiday spirit. So I've been trying to get myself into the holiday spirit, trying to switch my mentality and go back again on being thankful. So we brought down the few ornaments that we have, the few decorations, and I'm hoping to put them up around my apartment later on today, just so that I can look at them and be like, "'Tis the season,"
Belleza.
That's
Belleza.
right.
I leave that stuff to Karina. Let's see. You see over my shoulder, we got some lights here.
Word.
My version of the Christmas tree this year is my little arbolito de Aichombo. It's going off,
nice.
man. I'll share some pictures on the Rapscallions channels so you guys can check it out because Christmas in Panama is all about being picante, baby.
For sure, man. Oh, and if I could share a Christmas drink, which I think I just made it up today. I think it's a Rapscallions original.
Ooh.
Sparkling wine and saril.
Oh, damn. Getting fancy. Cheers to that.
Mhm.
Here's to all you guys out there. Grab your drinks. We're going to do some deep diving into Panama history. So get something tasty. Joe's invented a brand new drink for all of you. Imagine.
Nobody's ever done it before. Sparkling wine and saril. TM.
Beautiful. So my week, well, I was in the city.
Yeah, man.
Joe and I have started our rehearsals for 1903, amazing play. We're a little timid or a little worried about what's going to happen. Are they going to put us in lockdown before we start the play? Is it going to be allowed? But we're pushing forward. The producers feel that someone needs to take the flag and rally the troops. So they asked us to join them. They said, if you don't feel safe, please feel free to let us know. But we're pushing forward. So that's been kind of my life. So I came up to Santa Clara. It's been almost 3 weeks. Can't believe it. Time flies.
True that, man. Super fast.
The sheeps were happy to see me. The chickens were happy to see me. I didn't think they would. I thought they'd be like, there's a guy that gives us the treats. But they ran up to me.
They run to you? They ran to you.
They ran to me. They're like, bah, give me some treats.
You're like, where's my treats, man?
Where's
You've been gone for 3 weeks.
They're like, yo, it's good to see you. How about them treats?
How about the treats?
So you've been gone a long time. That's 3 weeks worth of treats, right?
Man, you can't trust those sheeps, man. You can't trust them.
Yeah, they're good kids. Good kids.
Them,
one of them is your goddaughter, by the way.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. How's she doing?
She's doing good. She has little dreadlocks now. She's supposed to be a hairless sheep, but being your goddaughter, she's got to rebel.
No doubt. She's Rastafarian.
She's Rastafarian sheep. They're doing good. They're getting nice and plump, enjoying the grasses and treats.
Nice. And they're not pregnant, right?
They were supposed to be, but it ain't happened yet. So unless we have a Christmas miracle, I don't think it's going to happen. Moving right along.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. A lot of jokes in there. So, Joe, where are we going to start? Where do we leave off? What were we talking about? Man, so much information. Help me out.
So much. Last week, we actually left off on 1977, the Tratados Torrijos-Carter.
All right.
But before we got there, I think you and I, when we were conversing afterwards, we realized that we had skipped over a very important event in Panamanian history, which took place where else but in Panama City,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And the event that I'm talking about is the 9th of January, 1964, today known as Martyrs
Yes.
Day.
Mother's Day. Yeah. It's a very controversial day, not only because of the loss of life, which is, always lamentable, always loss of life. We shouldn't have to get to that point,
Mm-hmm.
but it is controversial because, there's always many different sides to every story. So at the beginning of the show, disclaimer, we don't know everything. We're just here trying to have fun and share some knowledge. So try not to get try not to get flustered if we provide a different point of view that you are not accustomed to. We're just trying to share what we heard and talk
No
about
doubt.
it.
We're just talking.
Yeah.
We're just talking.
Yeah. So the thing that, well, to those who don't know, and also someone it was actually Diego de Olvaldia brought it up. When you talk about something or you try to it was easy for us to talk about the past because no one we knew was in Panama in 1503,
No.
so it's easy for us to say, well, I read this book and it said this, and you read that book and it said that.
Yeah.
But we know people who lived through that era, so we have their point of view. There's a lot of mixed points of view out there, and it's not to say one is right or wrong. It's an event that happened, and we're just gonna tell you what we know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Hmm.
And I know HB. So just quick recap for those of you who don't know what happened, because I want to hear HB's thoughts, because like HB said, we know people that were there. We got the inside scoop.
Yeah.
So 9th of January, a band of Panamanian students goes into the canal zone because they wanted to fly the Panamanian flag on a flagpole that was in the canal zone outside of Balboa High School, if I'm not mistaken.
At Balboa High School.
At Balboa High School.
On the grounds of Balboa High School.
That's right. So then they go in trying to get the flag flown, trying to raise it up there, because a decree had been passed that Panamanian flags could be flown within the canal zone, or should be flown within the canal zone. And they thought this wasn't happening, so they wanted to make it happen. So then they went that way, and this is where our story starts. HB, please take it away.
We did a little foreshadowing in last episode when we talked about Shaler and the railroad. There's actually on the limits between the Canal Zone and 4th of July, as it was called then, which is called Martyrs, Avenida de los Mártires now. There's a Triángulo de Shaler, and that's where they hoisted the Panamanian flag within the Canal Zone.
Question, wait, quick question. Is this where the roundabout is now? Because I'm picturing La Cuatro de Julio. You know there's a roundabout, right?
When you take the roundabout and you take the right, and then you take a right again to go down to the Guild, that's where Shaler's Triangle is.
That's where Shaler's Triangle is. Is there a sign or something there, like a little statue? Or no?
Nothing.
There should be.
So, anyway, and also another point is that the same things were happening in Colón at the same time. They actually burned down a building in the Canal Zone. A lot of people aren't aware that it was happening on both sides in the Canal Zone. So it was a coordinated effort. They decided to go in that day and to make their voices heard, which is part of a democracy. That should be everyone's right.
For sure.
Some of the things that precipitated this is that Kennedy had been speaking to Chiari, the president of Panama, talking about renegotiating the terms of the canal and the Canal Zone.
And this was way before the 1977 treaties.
That's correct. Yeah.
Maybe a lot of people don't know that. They thought it was just something that happened then, but boom.
Yeah. And then there were also some riots before that as well. And the difference is that in this particular case, there was a loss of life. And, that's why the students are called martyrs, because it took the gravity of that situation to precipitate what came next. I don't know how much. Let's put a clock on this. We could spend a whole episode about this, but we need to bring in some experts.
Yeah.
So when the students came in, and when I did the movie Historias del Canal, the producer, I talked about it with the producer, and he said they did extensive research, and the students respected the silent zone. So when they crossed 4th of July Avenue from the university, which all of you who are listening probably know where Napoli Pizza is, right across the street, that's the university. So the students there were given a flag. They had intended to march into the canal zone, and they were given a flag of Panama by one of their teachers or the rector, something like that. And their intention was to get their voices heard and to raise a flag at the School of Panama, at the Balboa High School. So what had happened before then? There had been a mandate passed saying that all American flags needed to be lowered within the canal zone, all of them. And there's a fair amount of Zonians that had a problem with that. And some people say that the governor of the canal zone didn't make it known enough, that it was not published enough, and he went on vacation right before this happened.
Yeah.
And there were some students and some teachers in the canal zone and many Zonians that felt that they didn't want to take the flag down in the canal zone. So they kept putting one back up. So there was kind of a butting of heads on both sides. The students marched towards Balboa High School. A crowd was forming at Balboa High School. And several Zonians, someone very close to me, was actually sitting on the flag post. My uncle Timo was there. And so they marched up, and the police force told them to stop. And they told their intentions. And he said, the police force or the governor, I think, said that only a few of them could go towards the flag post.
But they were
And
with the
so,
plans of allowing them to raise the flag.
right. And so as they approached, and this is where there's 10 different stories
Word.
about what actually happened. And people get very heated over this, very, very heated. So, please don't get flustered. Do some research, read all the different sides. We're just trying to tell some stories about Panama City.
Yeah.
As the students approach there, as the two student groups were facing each other, there was supposedly a scuffle. There was a push or something, or a student fell, or someone on the other side ripped the flag. But in any case, the thing that precipitated the violence or the escalated the violence was that the flag of Panama was ripped.
That's right.
There's no hard proof or evidence of whether it was ripped before, whether it was ripped during, whether a student fell by accident and ripped it himself, or he was shoved by the opposing side and that caused the rip, or a policeman hit him and that scuffle caused the rip. There's been positive many different points of view on that. But once the flag was ripped, then things escalated. The students went back to their side at the limits of the canal, and then riots started. And I think the National Guard was called in. The people in the police force that I knew said that there were no live rounds in their guns. Lots of studies had been done about the rounds that were fired, how many rounds were fired. There's been several different explanations for how the students were killed. There were supposedly snipers in Panama City, and the Pan American building was burned, and looting started. There was violence in the streets, and several people were unfortunately killed.
And the violence spread throughout the city, right? I've heard accounts of even American citizens that didn't live in the canal zone, that lived in the city, having to leave their homes and seek refuge in the homes of Panamanians to try and avoid being attacked or just having any harm come to them.
Right.
And it's
Right.
very interesting because from what I've been reading as well, it says that the authorities within the canal zone had asked the Guardia Nacional, la Policía Nacional, to kind of the Panamanian police force to come in and try and keep the peace or try and stop the riots and the violence, but they just kind of stayed away from the incident.
They did. Some of them took their uniforms off and participated. But my father was a policeman in the canal zone. After he was in 69, I think is when he joined the force. But we have to remember that the policemen and the Fuerza de Defensa were training together. Those guys were friends.
Yeah.
It was like, if you and I were standing on opposite sides of the picket fence, we have to do our job first and foremost.
For sure.
But in previous riots, it was like, okay, the riots are over, and they went out and had drinks together, you know.
Mm.
So there was a foul taste, so to speak, in the mouths of Panamanians about the U.S. Um, being in Panama. I think it. We've touched on a little bit in the last episode what kind of started that disfavor, and I think it was probably World War II. Just the mass amounts of U.S. Troops that were there. They essentially took over the country. There were there were bases everywhere, which
Yeah.
were provided for in the in the treaty.
Mm.
You know, but hasta cuándo? To what point? You know.
Yeah.
So then we get to this era. Um, there was a lot of destabilizing factors in the world. The Cold War was raging, and there's a lot of speculation about that. But I don't think today's show is it should be the
No.
focus of that.
Let's talk about communism and its impact on the world.
Yeah, and the United States failed foreign policy towards
Yeah.
communism.
Oh, good grief. But yeah, definitely a sad moment in our history. It's interesting to note from that you see a lot of movies, a lot of shows where they talk about, JFK and what could have potentially happened had JFK not been assassinated. And it makes you wonder, especially knowing that Chiari and JFK were both talking about, you know, putting the canal in Panamanian control. And what was this? This was maybe about what, 15?
61, I think.
Yeah, this was like maybe 15, 16 years before the treaties were eventually signed between Jimmy Carter and Omar Torrijos. Like, so if Kennedy wouldn't have been assassinated, would this have happened beforehand? Who knows, man?
Who knows? At least I think it might have been possible that an amended treaty would have come out.
Right.
Something that where both sides were happy with. But again, there's a lot of opposing points of view on this, and if we go way back, we talked about how when the canal was opened, there wasn't much fanfare because World War I had started.
Hmm.
And it was during World War I that the United States realized that they didn't really need a two-ocean navy. They didn't need a canal because originally when they were trying to build the canal, they thought we'll just have one navy and then it can go through the canal and be on the other
Word.
side.
Yeah.
But then after World War I, when they had Germany on one side and Japan on the other, there's no, we're going to have an Atlantic fleet and a Pacific fleet. And instantly with that decision, their geopolitical views on the necessity of the canal changed.
Hmm.
So it's possible that the United States wanted to get rid of certain people wanted to get rid of the canal because there's really no need for it to be in our hands anymore, which is an extremely unpopular point of view, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. So that was the 9th of January, 1964. And during this time, Chiari, he also broke off diplomatic relations with the
first
U.S.
time.
That's pretty ballsy, man, considering that.
I think that's the only president ever to do that to the United States, or the first one to do it.
Oh my gosh, considering that, you have another country in your country there, and you're just like, you know what, man, we're not going to talk to you anymore.
You can actually find the recordings between Johnson and Chiari.
Right.
It's a phone recording. You can hear the translator. And both men were very respectful to each other.
Right.
Both presidents were, and it's very interesting to hear that, because to be able to hold your cool, you're saying, my citizens are dying, and people are on the streets rioting, and you're not doing anything. He kept his cool and his respect, even after breaking off diplomatic relations, which is a huge, huge chess move,
Yeah, seriously, man. I mean, you don't just do that with anyone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
All right, so shall we move on then from this very sad event in Panamanian history, great ramifications, to our history? It happened in Panama City, as we have mentioned previously. And let's move on to a different time now, HB. I want to take us to 1968, where a very unlucky man was once again finding himself being ousted from power by a military coup.
Yes.
Very
Fufo.
sad. And of course, I'm talking about Arnulfo Arias, who was once again voted president of Panama, only to find himself removed from power after 11 days.
Yeah.
11 days. And the man that took him from power, Omar Torrijos, a very well known figure. I don't know if he's well liked. Maybe some people love him, some people hate him. From what I hear, he was a very charismatic man. He was very handsome. You know, he was like Robin Hood. Didn't they call him Robin Hood?
No say.
He took from the rich to give to the poor. I don't know, but all the images of him look super cool. So yeah, he took the Fufo, as they called him. He took him out of the presidency, took him out, and he said, "You know what? I'm installing myself and my party in power, and you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna start a military dictatorship." And that's what happened.
Yeah, that's another thing we could spend at least, we could dedicate a whole show to that, forever.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, so I mean, we talked about it a little bit last time. You have Arnulfo Arias. He was educated in Germany, and during World War II, he spoke out against the United States several times. And so the powers that be in the U.S., and this is me, I'm just guessing. I don't know. Wasn't in the CIA. I wasn't even born yet. But this guy keeps getting elected and keeps getting ousted. And then they installed a dictator. That seems to be the move that happened in all the places that the United States thought was unstable. So
Truth.
now there's a dictatorship in Panama. A lot of people call it a benevolent dictatorship.
Yeah.
So let's focus on the good things that were happening here in Panama. First of all,
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say he was really good to like the poor and the downtrodden. You know, he kind of wanted to bring everybody up.
Right. The Reforma Agraria happened. A lot of
Yeah.
things that probably should have happened earlier started happening. The Reforma Agraria, which helped people get title their land and to develop it. What else? I think he started the banking district in Panama.
Yeah.
So that definitely was an economic influx in Panama. Whereas Panama always maintained itself, and Panama City was let's say, I think it was until Torrijos tried to elevate it to the world stage, it kind of stayed and had a status quo.
Yeah.
It was Panama is still and always was a very beautiful place. And when you look at pictures from that era, the El Panama Hotel and stuff like that, it's just amazing, architecturally very beautiful. And another thing that Torrijos did is I keep forgetting the woman's name. She was instrumental she was good friends with Torrijos, and she started preserving the archaeology. And she actually, I think she started the whole program.
True that, yeah.
Of archaeology and in preserving Panama's history.
And he was also quite good at promoting the indigenous communities, right, and wanting to do things with them, helping them out. I think just overall, I think he kind of had the finger on the pulse of what people kind of wanted during that time. I think the middle class grew tremendously as well during that time.
Well, one thing he did is he cut roads to all the schools in Panama. Like he sent a tractor out, and every dry season, the road to the schools would be they'd cut the roads.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
And what is he best known for?
I wish I could find this woman. She's an amazing figure in Panamanian history, and the fact that I can't remember her name is a disservice to her.
If only
we'll try and post it later.
Yeah, if only our research department was online, but no.
Right. If you want to help our research department out, please visit our Patreon Ko-Fi site and donate some cash flow.
Yeah, guys.
So what was he best known for?
What was he best known for?
He was known for negotiating and signing the treaty between Jimmy Carter and Omar Torrijos. It's called the Torrijos-Carter Treaty.
Yeah.
And that dictated the future of the Canal of Panama and the surrounding canal zone. Is that the research department? Did we get a research department?
No, we don't. We don't have a research department. No, sorry, guys. That's right. That is what he is best known for. And I think it's very interesting because he was still there, and I think he had well, he. So I think for a minute he was like the main dude, right? And then he became like the ruler of the country. Still had like these presidents, right? Which is super weird because I think it's something that I think later on Noriega would do as well. Why would you be like the ruler, but then still have a president
That's to maintain the facade
of
of
democracy?
democracy. Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, gives people the wrong impression. But anyways,
I
so
found her name. I
what
found
was
her
her name?
name. Reina Torres de Araúz.
Reina Torres. Yes.
Very, very interesting character in Panama history. They actually did a whole episode on her in Encuentros con la Historia. So maybe we can post that in one of our places so you guys can check it out.
True that. Yes, I
Uh,
remember that name now. Yes. Reina Torres de Arauz. That will be posted. Reina Torres de
so,
Arauz,
so to
Panamanian
kind of maintain
anthropologist.
the, sorry to jump around there, but like popped in my head like
Yeah, man. Hey, no worries. We got to give the people the information that we got, dog. So, yeah. So, he signed the treaty with Jimmy Carter. And what did the treaty say? The treaty said that Panama would get full control of the Panama Canal and of the lands and bases and all the good stuff on the 31st of December, 1999. So I guess right after this time, it was like that's it. All the people that were living here were like, okay, yeah, you know, tiene fecha de cumpleaños, or the time that we have to leave Panama, this place that we've known and called home for years and years and years and years and
right.
years and
From
years.
the Zonian point of view, I mean, it was like, you just lost your home. You got to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was like there was a big exodus. I don't have any percentage numbers, but a lot of people left um, during that part of the treaty. And then a second exodus happened um, in the 80s. I mean, there was milestones in the treaty that had to be complied with. Um, but the spirit in Panama was, finally our country will be whole. So
Right.
from a Panama City point of view, people were ecstatic about that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Even though, especially, and I think it's one of the things that we've talked about a lot in the past. And this is
Mhm.
one of the things that I always used to believe when I was younger, when I would hear about the canal zone. It was that people couldn't freely enter the canal zone.
I think that needs to be rectified. That's not
Yeah,
true.
please.
There's in common knowledge today, now that the canal zone's gone,
Hmm.
it said that Panamanians weren't allowed in the canal zone. That's absolutely not true. Um, we need to clarify the situation. There was military bases within the canal zone, and then there was the regular canal zone that controlled the operations of the canal.
And obviously,
And
people could not enter the military bases,
yeah, they could not
which
enter the
makes sense.
military bases,
Yeah.
and they couldn't enter uh, areas around the canal that were sensitive. And if I was a Zonian, I couldn't enter a military base. I had to provide proper identification, and restricted areas around the canal also. You couldn't enter there. The rule was if you didn't work in the canal zone, then you couldn't be there after dark. It was kind of just a rule
Right.
of thumb, you know.
So there you go. Because I think that's a common misconception that a lot of people have. That they're always like, oh man, these guys had like a fence around the areas and Panamanians couldn't go in there. And I mean, I think it's understandable that people couldn't, and even you as a Zonian couldn't go into the military base willy nilly. Like, hey, what's up, guys? It's me,
No,
HB. I'm coming into the base just to
no,
kick
no.
it.
There's fences everywhere. It'd been like any military base all over the world. Um,
Yeah,
so that's a common misconception.
for sure. And then that takes us forward. So now we got the treaty signed, right?
Yeah.
Torrijos must have been on top of the world. He was like, hey, man, I did it. Got the thing signed. Everything's great. The PRD is in power. These guys are like kicking it, man. And then what happens?
Shaboom.
Shaboom.
Torrijos went
Shaboom.
down in a plane crash. Now there's a lot of opposing versions of that story. Currently, since the wreckage was found or something like that, they've deemed that there was no foul play there. There was no bomb. But back in the day, everyone thought that either the CIA took him out or someone within his own military took him out.
Hmm.
And who knows? I wasn't there. I think, what year were we at? I was just becoming a tickle in my parents' loins around this
We're
time.
in 1981.
Mm. Oh, yeah, I was born.
I was a
Uh,
tickle.
you were the tickle tickle.
I was a tickle tickle.
Yeah.
1981, man. So he goes down, and of course, this throws everything up in the air because people are like, well, first of all, from what I understand, like radar coverage back in the day was like super terrible. So they took a hot minute to kind of realize that the plane had gone down. I think it was like a day. Imagine if a plane goes down today, we know instantly. But when that happened, they were just like, meh. Wasn't he supposed to land last night? Oh no, he didn't. I wonder where he went. Oh,
This dude, he Torrijos is an interesting character, right? And I have several friends that have lots of opposing viewpoints, and and like one of my friends' father
hmm,
was in he was in the top three of that dictatorship, and there were other people that were supposed to be the head instead of Torrijos, that
right.
somehow Torrijos ended up in there. There's like three
Really?
people they couldn't decide who, but again, that's a topic for another show.
That's
So
crazy.
we have Torrijos. He insisted that he goes back to his rancho that's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And, that's you're flying out and you're crossing the Continental Divide. There was a huge rainstorm and there's zero out there. It's out by where Petaquilla mine is, way out there,
Man.
Coclecito. So this guy's like, he tells the pilot, let's go. And the pilot, he's not going to say no.
Yep.
They go, they cross the Continental Divide, they hit heavy, heavy weather. Some people say there was a bomb in the plane. For years, I remember everywhere spray painted all over Panama City was Torrijos Vive, Omar Vive, Omar Vive. You'd always find that tagged all over the city.
Right. And what was that for? What was the reference to? Were they just not believing he was dead? I don't remember seeing this.
That he was alive somewhere, that he
He
was
was
coming
alive
back,
somewhere. Man,
like
listen,
Elvis,
like Elvis. I bet they're hanging out with the aliens.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. Hey, so I mean, I think whenever you're crossing the Continental Divide, that's like a nasty place with wind currents and whatever have
Ex-
you, right?
Exactly.
Because I remember
Yep.
once I was on a plane 2 years ago. I was going from Boca del Toro to Chiriquí,
Hmm.
and we flew over the Continental Divide. And it was one of these Air Panama planes, right?
Right.
And man, like the plane was getting slapped around. And this was like 2 3 years ago,
Right.
and so it was like a relatively new plane. Although Air Panama, I don't know how new their planes are. Nevertheless, I would assume they were in better conditions that the plane Torrijos was flying in when he went down.
Well, a lot of the thing about it this way, a lot of stuff is happening. Panama's very thin. You've got ocean very close to the Continental Divide. And as you drive down the Pan American Highway, you hit so many microclimates. When you get to Coronado, it's hot
Hmm.
because the ocean air comes and it hits the mountain that's really close there and creates turbulence. So you got all kinds of weather patterns and stuff like that. So you're absolutely right. Uh, Flying over the Continental Divide, you might have warm air on one side, cold air on the other side, and a big bubble in the middle. Where that is not conducive to flying an airplane.
Nah, man. So if you're flying around in a little, I mean, imagine how planes were back in the day, especially the smaller ones that are flying in locally, nationally, and then you
Hmm.
have a thunderstorm going on. Man, that's a recipe for bad news.
Yeah.
Bad
So
news.
so Torrijos, they're very charismatic. Um, he was not free from how should we say it, from bad things being
Yeah.
done during his tenure.
Truth.
A lot of people disappeared, but he made some public statements is that he doesn't involve himself with that. He has people to handle that, and the guy who handled it for him, the guy who did the stank work, you know, the guy that got wet,
Mm-hmm.
he that was Manuel Antonio Noriega.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Now, this guy was a character, man. I read this book called Divorcing the Dictator by this guy, last name Kempkis or something.
Mhm.
Let me just see if I can find the name
Research
of the
department.
research department. Man,
Mhm,
I'm doing it all
mhm.
today, man.
Well, while you're
Camp.
researching, I want to give a shout out. Sue Norman, a faithful listener, says, "Good to see you guys again. Thank you for tuning in. Um, Today is probably a bit of a controversial show for Zonian since we feel like we lost our homes, you know. So talking about
True.
these things can definitely hit wounds that have not healed completely. But anyway, we're here to have fun and talk about history, so let's do it. What did the
That's
research
true.
department find for you?
So, the book I read, and I have it here, it's called Divorcing the Dictator America's Bungled Affair with Noriega. And it was written by a guy called Kempe. Frederick
Mhm,
Kempe. Now, this
mhm.
book is like a deep dive into Noriega's life. And I found this phenomenal because growing up, Noriega was like, he was a scarred soul, man. He was like, he had a messed up childhood.
Yeah,
And he was always like the short, ugly kid that nobody liked. It
yeah.
was like
Pig
all the cards
hardcore.
were stacked against him from day one. Terrible.
You know where he grew up around, right?
Where do you grow up around?
Well, I know where his base of operations used to be would be here in Playa Blanca, close to where I'm at now.
Word. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, my
He
dad
was
met
just,
him.
huh?
My dad met him.
Yeah. What was that like?
There was in Santa Clara, where I'm at now. There the casino was huge. I mean, that
Huh?
was the hot spot. So they would have festivals here in Santa Clara. Actually, to go off on a tangent, that's where my dad took my mom on a date one time before they were married, and there was a big bullfight, and the bull got out. So my dad goes, "Don't worry, I'll protect you." And he turns around, and all he saw was smoke. My mom took off down the Pan American running. Man, that's where I got my speed from.
Nice. HB super fast for those of
That's
you that don't
right.
know.
Check it.
Super
Check. Check.
fast.
Check.
I didn't.
Think.
Were you? Wow. All I saw was a blur. Whoa.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's right.
Crazy.
So sorry too, but it was important that I share that part of Panama history, where speed comes from.
Where speed comes from.
Yeah, so they would have these festivals in Santa Clara, and I actually have one of the invites, and
Word.
the guest of honor was Teniente Noriega from Playa Blanca,
Man.
and so he came and he did the opening ceremony for that. Bunch of gringos having a parade in the middle of Panama, and then every once in a while he would show up to the casino when my dad would leave. He's like, it's not a guy that you sit down and have a drink with. So that's kind of the type of person he was. Okay, looks like our internet is crapped out at the moment. So I'll just keep talking, just because we have it recording. There's no upload going on right now. We can just edit this part out. I like to keep talking because the sound of my voice is delightful. Here we got some. Looks like Are you back yet, Joe? Hmm. Here we go. We're coming back. We're coming back. Gaining speed, people. Hey, Joe, are you back with us?
I'm
I'll just
here.
keep
I'm here.
talking. Hey,
I'm
I
here.
can see
I'm
your lips
here.
moving.
I'm
Hey, look
here.
good.
I'm here.
See,
Sorry, I
you see what
fell.
happens when you talk bad about Noriega in this
I know.
area? The spirits, man.
Spirits, dog.
Yeah, they don't like
Spirits.
they don't like me talking bad about him. One of his minions stepped on the internet line down the street and cut me off.
Seriously, man. Seriously.
But we're back. I think where we got cut off was that this guy was just a dude that you didn't mess with. He
No,
came
not at
in,
all.
he came in, and people left, or tried to leave before he sat down at your table. So
I
he was
can't
very,
even
very
imagine.
intense
Like,
dude.
I imagine if I would have been around in that time. Well, I guess I remember I was born in '82, so he became dictator in '83,
Hmm.
and I remember it as scary times. But of course,
Yeah.
we're gonna do an episode about the invasion on the 20th of December, so we don't want to talk too much about that type of stuff. But yeah, man, he was the one that did all the dirty stuff, and I don't think he had any problems with it. He didn't have any problems with doing the dirty stuff, man.
No, man. Apparently, he was a very insecure person. He had a lot of phobias and stuff. Um, he did a lot of like voodoo, which
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with voodoo in my opinion. You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want, but that's what he
Amen.
believed in. He believed that he could change his fate by using little santeria dolls and stuff like that.
Yep.
So we've got Noriega's coming to power, and he's just a bad dude.
Yeah.
Um, my own personal opinion is if we believe that the United States CIA installed Torrijos, then it's not a far stretch to believe that they also installed Noriega because Torrijos, who was supposed to be their friend, eventually pushed them towards the signing of the treaty.
Yep.
And for historians out there, if you want to see something interesting, there's a there's a debate that Reagan lost the elections to Carter, but he did a debate about the Panama Canal. It's famous for the time. He said, "We built it, uh, we paid for it, and we're going to keep it." That's the platform that he ran on.
Hmm.
So if you are interested, Reagan was a master debater. All jokes aside, you should spend an hour watching that because I grew up around the zone, and I think I know about the zone, but the points and the facts that he brought up are just incredible. He said that 70% of the employees of the canal are already Panamanian.
Right.
So it's a very interesting debate.
Maybe that's
Uh,
something we can share later on our if it's on YouTube, that will definitely be posted
mhm.
on Rapscallion's Facebook page.
Yeah, man. Source for info.
Without
Uh,
a doubt.
so sorry to go back in time. Um,
Nah,
Noriega was a
man.
bad dude. We were saying
He
like,
was.
what's the possibilities? How did he get in there? How did Torrijos get in there? So
Yeah.
we're in 1983. Another thing we'll share is remember that 13 Noviembre video I sent you about the parades that Panama used to have.
Oh yeah, man. That was wild.
So, I
That
was
was
alive in
wild.
that time, but you'll see that the parade that they have during Noriega's tenure was extremely militaristic. They had tanks, troops marching, anti-aircraft, and it's not something that you see in Panama anymore. It's faded from our memory how militaristic Panama became under Noriega.
Seriously,
So,
man.
yeah,
Now what's the most that we see? We see some cops trying to do wheelies on their motorcycles.
yeah. And one guy fell
That's
off
it.
one time. That was good.
Yeah. But back in the day, they had an anti-aircraft gun and they were just riding it around. Oh,
Yeah. And you saw the guy that was on there. He had a white shirt and he had a sombrero pintado, right?
yeah.
That was the infamous Machos del Monte. That
Manchos de
was
Monte.
Noriega's special elite strike force, so to speak. It was like the guys that did his most dirtiest of dirty. They were the best trained, best equipped, and they were above the law.
Man, that's insane, dude. All
Yeah.
right, so let's see. We're in 1883. So Noriega becomes president, man, head of the National Guard, renames it the Panama Defense Forces, increases its power over Panama's political and economic life. Then 1988 rolls around. There's tensions with the U.S. now because, of course, as HB said, that the U.S. put Noriega in place. They also said that him and George W. Bush, not George W. Bush, but George Bush father were like old buddies. And then all of a sudden they stopped being buddies. So, anyways, things go south in that relationship.
Indeed.
And Noriega declares a state of emergency because there's a failed coup. And then at one point, he declares war on the US with a machete. I'm sure a lot of you guys, depending on your age, you probably remember seeing that infamous video
Y
where
un
he's all
paso
like,
para atrás. So I want to interject here with a few opinions.
yeah, yeah, do it, do it.
So we're talking about 5 years is going on here, and we have to keep in mind that the Treaty of the Canal, the Torrijos Carter Treaty, had waypoints. There are
Hmm.
certain things that had to be accomplished. I think it'd be pretty safe to say that Panama was not on schedule for the turnover of the canal during Noriega's tenure.
Oh, of course.
If there's another video that we should post. Getting way ahead of myself, Joe. I apologize.
Hey, what year are you at? Tell me.
It's It was an ACP. It was a celebration of the canal. They brought together all the people at the last minute when it was time, and it was like 1997 or
Right.
98, and they realized we haven't done shit. And they got all the political parties and all the intellectuals and all the important people to sit down at one table to keep their mouths shut, to put down their political differences, and to figure out what they were going to do
For sure.
when there was time for them to get the keys to the canal.
For sure.
And it's a pretty impressive documentary that ACP put out. I urge you all to take a look at it.
Smart move, man. Because I can imagine that from the signing of the thing. The thing is, I imagine in 1977 they were like, man, we got this treaty signed. You know, Torrijos was there. He was like at the height of his powers. He could do no wrong. They were like, we got a guy that's gonna lead us, you know, to the
Yeah,
promised land of 1999.
right.
But then he died, and then Noriega came in, and Noriega was just like, hey, man, booze and alcohol and all that other.
Con-
Like,
controlled
you looked at me wrong. I'm
controlled
gonna kill you. I mean, come on
Yeah,
now.
he controlled the flow of drugs
Mm-hmm.
around Panama. A lot of people say that of the few benefits that Noriega brought to the country, one of them was there was complete control of the streets. There wasn't a lot of gang activity. There wasn't a lot of drug related crime. There was a lot of violence, though. Um,
Well, I guess fear, right? Because people wouldn't want to be out on the street if they knew what was going to happen to them if they got caught by the Doberman.
yeah, Doberman. That was Noriega's attack force.
Seriously, man, they would take you out, and you didn't want to be taken out, man. I mean, people would protest. If those people protested, they would catch you, take you over there to the police station that was over in El Chorrillo,
Hmm.
and man, good luck, man, because who knows what would happen to you over there, man.
Yeah,
Seriously,
that was not a cool place.
not a cool place at all. It got destroyed during the invasion. But we're going to talk about that in our invasion show. So
Yeah,
let's not talk too much about Noriega anymore, other than he was a very bad man and
not
got
a
what he
cool
deserved.
dude
Not a cool dude. Not a cool dude at all. So
at
then
all.
we jump into 1992, was it, when Guillermo Endara became president of, was it 92
Yeah.
or 19,
Oh wait,
1989?
yeah, 89 when he was uh, the dummy president. You asked before, like, why have a president if you have a dictator?
Mm-hmm.
They continued, and you'll see this wherever there's dictatorships to kind of carry on the farce of democracy. They'll have elections. You'll see elections in Venezuela.
For sure. And then the same guy always wins. Wow,
Right. So what happened
remarkable.
when Endara was elected? It wasn't Noriega's pony. You know, the
And
guy
he
put
wanted
a
his
the
pony.
guy put a horse in the race. He was told by all of his chiefs, "Our guy's gonna win. We've already stuffed the ballot boxes. Don't worry." Lo and
Mm,
behold, Endara wins.
mm,
So another another 20 books could be written about this subject.
word.
The historical thing that everyone remembers is Billy Ford having a bloody head.
Oh, snap,
You
for
know?
sure. For sure.
So they were gonna have they were trying to plan how they were gonna march and bring up the ciudadanía, a lot of
Mm,
people who were protesting anyway in the face of violence, how they were gonna curry the public and to force Noriega out. Um, and it required it. I mean, it happened in the Philippines. The
mm,
Philippines had a dictator, and everyone stood up and said, "It's time for you to leave," and the guy left.
right.
So there is precedence for that, but they
Right.
needed enough people. They needed enough of the country to stand up and to oppose Noriega and just say, all of us are saying it's time for you to leave.
You gotta go. You gotta
You
go.
got to go. So they had a lot of. I think they were supposed to meet in Santa Ana
Mm-hmm.
at a certain time. There were guerrilla broadcasts going on in Panama, and there were some opposing points of view on where, when, and how they should have these marches. So they go to this march, and somehow Noriega knew they were going to be there, and they had um, they had people dressed undercover, like
Of course.
I guess they were Dobermans or maybe the Macha de Montes, dressed
Yeah.
as sympathizers, and ended up just clubbing these guys until they were bloody.
It's really interesting that you mentioned that because I told you the other day I'm reading this book called Gringo Cabrón by this lady named Laura Jeanette Gao Stone. So she was a wife to this American guy. He was in the military forces here and everything. He was American, she's Panamanian, and they were living in Panama outside of the zone with their daughters. And it's just about how their life, their experiences throughout that time and participating in these marches because they were all civilistas and all that stuff. And there's a lot of experiences in her book where they all go to peaceful protests and they're walking down the street. And Noriega had his people in there infiltrados. And then at some point, they were just like, start
Black.
clubbing people, shooting people. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you never really knew. You never really knew.
Sue Norman says, "Remember the ninja-looking dudes on motorcycles? Is that during the dictatorship or currently? Currently, they have the linces. Those guys look pretty scary.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, my
Those guys are
friend
very
Rudy
scary.
Waller, world famous Panamanian motocross guy, he went in and trained those guys to how to better handle their motos.
Really?
Yeah, we should
Huh.
have him on the show and have him tell us about that. That must have been an experience.
Seriously, man. I bet he has some great stories, man.
Yeah.
All right, so
So,
let's move on then from Noriega because we're going to talk about him a lot on the 20th of December
mhm.
during our invasion show. So, Endara became president in 89. I think we can say that things were relatively calm, right? Between 1989, he became president. Then in 94, oh, he was Panameñista, so he was from Arnulfo Arias' party. 1994, El Toro Valladares, he becomes president. He's PRD, so once again, you have PRD power. Uh, did anything really notable happen during the time? I don't really
He,
remember. I don't recall.
Toro, what he did was he, what's it called? The public. That's a pretty important thing. We're back to zero. We got zero internet. Can't talk about El Toro. Toro will shut you down. And as soon as you talk about public utilities, you got to talk about internet. And we don't have internet right now. I'm just going to keep babbling until the internet comes back. Is it back, Joe? Do we have internet?
Am I still
Internet,
here? Can you hear
internet.
me?
One, two,
Can
one,
you see
two.
me? Can you see me? I'm here.
I can see you moving, but I can't hear what's hips. Ah,
I'm
looks
here.
like we're
I'm
back.
here. I'm here. I'm here.
See, we're touching on too many sensitive subjects. I talked about
I
public
know.
utilities, and what happens? Our internet goes out. Huh? Huh? Coincidence? I think not.
She is a whizzle, man. She is a whizzle. Hey, we're just telling it like it is.
Yeah, man.
We're
It's
not
just public
disrespecting anyone.
knowledge. So Toro
Seriously.
publicized, he privatized public utilities. So we went from Intel, and it was privatized into cable and worthless. So
Man, they've
these,
been around for a minute, dude.
gosh, I mean, it was. Imagine, Joe. I just want to paint you a picture. A private company, this in this instance, Cable and Wireless comes in, and they open the job market. Right? They're like,
Right?
okay, to fill this position, you have to have 10 years of experience in telecommunications. Panama,
Right?
I mean, if we're at 4 million now. I don't know, were we at 3 million back then?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, I
only
think
were the inutiles over at Intel.
right.
so, so the same mediocrity carried on over to cable and wireless, but they made a
And
huge private investment in infrastructure. Huge.
I keep hearing that, if you work at cable and wireless, it's pretty much like working in a public institution.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it essentially they rebranded Intel in Panama. It did. And cable and wireless spent a huge amount of money here. I don't know whose pocket it ended up in, but a lot of money was spent.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. And now look at them. They have Mahmobile and all that other stuff. And they're
True.
fighting with all the other ones, Scalaro and Tigo and all these other people.
Yeah.
So can we say that that's what Ernesto Perez Valladares is probably best remembered for?
Also a free trade agreement with the United States.
And well, currently,
Yeah.
sorry, carry on.
I'm friends with his current la ministra de gobierno is a friend of mine,
Right?
and we try to avoid political arguments or political discourse because they end up in arguments. We can talk about
Right.
literature, art, painting, whatever. But as soon as it gets to politics, oh my God, the gloves are off. So I called her up and I was like, hey, you tell me one thing, one benefit that Panama would get by signing a free trade agreement with the United States. Just one.
Hmm.
What are we going to sell zapallos to the United States? Come on.
Maybe there's a big demand for zapallos. You don't know.
Ugh. She said, she took a minute and then she said, I can't believe you're going against your own country. And I was like, that's not an answer. So, in my opinion, the free trade agreement was not beneficial to Panama. As a matter of fact, it flooded our market with cheap and not very good products.
You know what else he did, my friend? Wasn't
What?
he the one? I remember when I got back to Panama, there was a huge brouhaha over referendum over re-election. I remember that there was
That's
no a la
true.
reelección, sí a la reelección,
Yeah.
and I think he was instrumental behind that. I remember seeing the campaigns out there because I think he wanted to run for re-election, and I remember coming back and I was thinking like, hey, re-election sounds like a good thing, because if you have a good president and you want him to keep being president, then at least you have the chance to let him continue, the good work that he or she has been doing, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then no one, and I couldn't understand that. But then somebody else told me that if C would have won, not only would there have been re-election, but a whole bunch of other things would have been included in that. I don't know. I was just a child. I wasn't really aware of what
It's
was going on at the time.
an idealistic viewpoint. And
Yeah.
I can see your point of view, but for the most part, it's just robbing and stealing, dog.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. For sure. For sure. For sure. Now I see that. Now I see that. But I think during the time when I got back here, I was just like, yo, if I have a president who's doing a wonderful job, why would I not want that person to continue?
For sure. I get it. I get it. But
But now I know that they would have just been like, more money that I get to steal from the people. Yeah.
steal some
So now that
money
sucks.
from the... Yeah. I
So
think
I
another
think I
thing
would have
that he
voted no.
did was he tried to set up a diamond burser here in Panama.
Oh,
That's
word?
like a, yeah, diamond trade. It might have happened, but I don't think it took off the way they wanted. So, the day and age that we're talking about now, Panama is they've got the canal. Um, well, the canal's been reverted back. See, the wording is difficult for me as a
Hmm.
Zonian because when you say reverted or turned
In,
back, it was
yeah,
never in their control.
exactly.
So,
It
being
was handed
precise
over.
is important. It was handed over to Panama, um, and they've done a great job. Their viewpoint on what the canal should do was different from the United States. The United States was to have a free flowing waterway that was open to anyone,
Hmm.
whereas the Canal of Panama is run as a commercial enterprise. So
Word.
they have fulfilled their commitment to increase the amount of traffic and to increase revenue, which they've done astronomically. I think
Hmm.
I don't know what the figures are, but it's gone up immensely.
Yeah.
I have some
Yeah.
other
Yeah. Yeah.
opinions, but I think I'll keep them in my Santa's hat.
Keep him your Santa's hat, dog. All right. So Ernesto Perez Valladares' time comes to an end, and we're running up to the next elections. And who is running in these elections? Martín Torrijos, the son of Omar Torrijos, and Mireya Moscoso, the ex-wife of Arnulfo Arias. And what's also going to happen after these elections? The handover of the Panama Canal to the Panamanians from the
Yeah.
United States. So I think Martin, I remember those elections very clearly, man. And this guy was pushing hard his like, my dad negotiated the treaties. I'm gonna get the canal back. I should get it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then
I mean,
Mireya
and
was also,
we've got to paint a picture for the people. This is the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
millennium. It's the
yeah, man.
millennium. It's like
Y2K,
Prince.
Y2K.
Y2K is happening. We're gonna party like it's 1999. In addition to that, in addition to that, Panama's gonna get control of the canal, which they've longed for so many years. So
Yeah,
the climate is just, oh my god. Can you imagine?
buzzing. It was buzzing. I
Hmm.
remember. I remember, man. Y2K, man. Everybody was scared of Y2K.
Yeah. People call me because, as some of you might know, many of you don't, I study computer science and computer engineering. So they call me, they're like, P, what's going to happen in Y2K? And I was like, Nothing. Don't worry
Man, people
about
thought planes were gonna drop out of the sky.
it. Yeah.
The canals locks were gonna open forever, and everything was gonna flood. Oh my gosh, incredible.
People
So,
went
anyways,
cray-cray.
these elections rolled up, dog. They rolled up. You know, Martin versus Mireya. Mireya was the ex-wife of Arnulfo Arias, man. So she was riding the wave hard of like, hey, man,
It's like you can't write fiction better than this. You
no,
have
man,
Arnulfo Arias was ousted from power and replaced with a dictator named Omar Torrijos. And then the puppet show in year 2000 was the wife of Arnulfo Arias against the son of Omar Torrijos. I mean, you can't
yeah,
make this crap up.
yeah, man. It was like Martin Torrijos was there saying like, this is my father's legacy, and Miriam Moscoso was there like, I'm gonna get revenge for what your daddy did to my husband. So it was like, ding, ding, man, ding, ding. There was a
Yeah.
third person there. I forget who it was. Was it Bayarino?
I don't remember.
There was a
It might
third
have been.
candidate. I don't know. But
Where's the
anyways,
research department at?
to make a long story short, Mireya Moscoso won the election. And
Yeah.
she became Panama's first, and up until now, only woman president.
Yeah. I think we should give more women the opportunity to hold office. But
I
as
agree
it
with you,
turns
man.
out, both male and female presidents steal lots of money.
True that, man. That is very true. I think corruption is one of those things that does not discriminate.
Does not discriminate,
Uh,
doesn't care gender
care.
or sex or ethnicity. Human greed tends to be the all powerful deciding factor there. Anyway, that's a little negative.
right.
It's a Christmas show, right?
It is. It is. Well, I mean, not really, but yes.
I met Mireya. Did I tell you that?
No, man. What she do? What she tell you? Was she like, hey, I want you to be a part of my cabinet?
It was a very strange and when I, let's just throw dirt. You ready to throw dirt, Joe?
Throw dirt, man. Give people the dish.
Can I bite ankles here? I want to do some ankle biting.
Bite ankles, man. Bite ankles.
All right, so some of the controversy surrounding her relationship with Fufo, with Arnulfo Arias, was this guy was freaking old, dude,
Mm,
and that she married him. Like she married a corpse, So
no way.
I mean, the guy was senile, old. I don't know. I never met him, but
Right.
all things indicate that she kind of married herself, made the marriage go through,
Right.
and used that to rise up through the ranks. Now,
Wow.
the way that I met her is kind of history repeating itself. I was at a friend's house, and their uncle was a big coffee farmer
Right.
in Boquete, and he was at the end of his days, and the maid that had cared for him all of a sudden was married to him, right? So we went up there. I went with them so that the family could say goodbye. And lo and behold, who walks in?
Who?
Guess.
Martin Torrijos.
Mireya Moscoso
No
walks in.
way.
She walks into the house, is good friends with the maid, nurse/maid, that is now married to the soon-to-be deceased owner of a coffee empire.
Whoa.
I met her, and then I was like, dude, this is so surreal. I feel like I'm on acid right now.
Whoa. And what did she say to you? She was like, hey, what's up?
She was like, hey, you look good.
And you were like, leave me alone.
I was like, I shook her. I mean, that's the first time I've ever met an ex-president, Joe.
Wow. Did you address her as Madame President?
No, I was just like, yo, what's up, Prezi? No,
Yo,
I
what up?
shook her. I shook her hand, and I played the dumb grin. That's my fallback. I just stand there and shake my head. You're like, oh, this guy doesn't speak Spanish, That way I can hear all this stuff.
No doubt. Hey, you could be a good secret agent, man.
That's right. And oh, hola, tiene ron. Me gusta ron. Then
and they'll be telling state secrets, and you're there like,
Mhm.
oh, muy bueno.
Muy bueno, me gusta. So that was just a surreal. That's some dirt throwing there. I haven't told that
Oh,
story. That story very much at all. But I mean, when you just line up the events that happened with Arnulfo himself and her, and then I was there so the family could say goodbye to their uncle, and she
Yeah.
walks in, and the maid had married the guy that was dying. It was just like truth is stranger than fiction, my friend.
That's so crazy, man. That's so crazy.
Hmm.
But anyways, regardless of what she did, she won the elections. And
Hmm.
you know who was there to receive the canal? Mireya Moscoso.
Yeah.
She was there alongside Jimmy Carter, because of course Jimmy had to come down for the celebrations. How do you think he felt when he came down for that? Do you think he was like, I'm super happy I did this, or was he kind of like, man, what a mistake?
If memory serves me correctly, he also came down to oversee
Some
um,
elections, didn't he?
exactly. So it wasn't his. I think, I think it might have been his downfall politically. It was a very brave move from Carter.
Hmm.
I think had he not done any negotiations about the canal, he probably would have had a second term, and he would probably
Right.
be a lot better remembered for some of his other policies. And Zonians out there, I want to ask you for 1 minute to set aside your opinions on Jimmy Carter for one moment. Just read his Wikipedia, look it over, digest it, then you can reinsert that chip because I mean we lost our home. How do you think we're gonna
Word.
feel? You know.
Word. Word. No, no, no.
Uh,
Totally, totally.
so uh, the Panamanians out there listening, try and have some empathy for us. What if someone came and said, "You can't live here anymore. You have to leave"?
No, I
So
totally agree. I mean, and you know what's interesting is that, all the Zonians that lived here, I mean, it's not like you were there signing the 1903 agreement, the treaty, you
no,
know? You ended up here because that is what was meant to happen to you, I guess, whether you believe in
yeah,
destiny or any of
yeah,
that type of stuff.
the
This
currents
was
of time.
yeah,
Like
this was your home. And then all of a sudden it's not your home. So then it's everything you knew.
yeah,
So you can't be mad at a person for wanting to keep the only thing they've ever known,
yeah.
you
Indeed,
know?
my friend. Indeed.
I don't know. I mean, you just got to think about stuff with like an open mind
That's
and
right.
empathize.
We're all humans, we're all neighbors, and we all pretty much want the same thing. We want
For sure.
somewhere safe to live. We want good education for our kids, and we want to be able to make money in a way that's noble to ourselves. I mean, every
No
human
doubt.
across the earth would want something like that.
For sure, man.
Um,
And I think Jimmy Carter, after his whole time as president, he went on to do a lot of things, you know, after that, to try and just like promote democracy and just try and make the world a better place.
yeah.
So I mean, respect to him, man. But I mean, yeah.
And we overlooked a few interesting tidbits. There was a big push by Hollywood to turn the canal back over to Panama.
Oh yeah, but Hollywood,
By Hollywood, have you heard of John Wayne Island?
I have.
That was a gift from Torrijos to John Wayne for his help in currying the favor of Hollywood to use their influence to push the United States in returning the Canal to Panama.
What?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Panama has so much history. I mean, all these little nuggets could be made into a movie.
Seriously, man. I don't think I've ever been to John Wayne Island. I want to go there, but I think the hotel there is now like empty, closed. I think they're
We
selling it. Hey, we
we have
should
to
buy
go.
it. I think
We
if we
should
get a
buy it.
benefactor, we can buy the hotel on John Wayne Island
Let
and
me
make
tell
it
you something interesting
Rapscallion's
about John
result.
Wayne Island.
Tell me.
There's a little sign on a tree that says that you can pay them 75 cents to pee on the tree that John Wayne peed on.
Well, you know what? If our benefactors give us enough money for Rapscallions to buy that and rename it Rapscallions Resort and Casino, we will
Yes.
lower the price to 50 cents. And then you can
Yes.
pee on the tree for 50 cents.
You can pee on the tree that Joe HB and John Wayne peed
That's right.
on. Look at how much value we add to everything. Like not only do we lower the price, but we increase the value.
That's right, man. That's right. And you can take your picture. You can take a picture while you're peeing.
We'll take a picture with you. Send
Yeah.
us some 40 million or so. We'll
Yeah.
make it happen pronto.
Hey, seriously. Totally. It'll be the best.
This show is just, this is almost a miracle. You guys are watching miracles happen live.
Miracles, man. Miracles. So there we go. We need benefaction. That's a fact. So,
yeah.
where are we now? Mireya got the canal back.
You need a cow taser for me, Joe. Just get back on track, HB.
So check it out. We have 45 minutes left, and we still have to get to 2020. So,
smack.
But don't worry, we've already reached the millennium. Mireya's president. She got the canal back. Jimmy Carter came to town. It was all groovy. They rode on that little, they were in the Canal of Miraflores. They were having a great time. Everybody was loving it. Yeah. So then Mireya finishes her term. I'm sorry to say, for a woman president, she didn't really do much better than any of the male counterparts she had beforehand. I mean, sucks. There you go.
Yeah, I don't want to dog the first female president. I think everyone should have equal opportunity to hold public office.
True that.
One interesting thing that she did, though, she did the Centenario Bridge.
True that. True.
And the interesting thing?
What's that?
There was no roads to get onto the bridge.
How amazing. So without her, we wouldn't have a bridge. And then Martin Torrijos came along, and then he built the road.
Yeah.
So that's teamwork right there. That's teamwork.
Teamwork.
Why have a bridge if you can't have a road?
The Torrijos Arnulfo, the Torrijos Arias 1-2 double punch came back. They got it done.
That's right. Because he was like, hey, 1999 wasn't my year. But you know when is going to be my year? 2004. 2004. I think in that election, I forgot who he ran against in that election.
Toro was in there, I think.
No, but they're the same.
Oh, no,
they're both
they're
PRD.
The same party. Yeah.
Yeah. They are. Hold on. I need to find this now.
Research department.
Panama
should have those results soon.
2004. Presidential elections. We know Martin won. He went against Guillermo Endara, who came back around. He was like, hey,
right.
I'm in it to win it.
Guillermo Endara had the buxom wife that pushed him towards the elections.
That's right. I forget what her name was, but she was very popular.
Yeah.
She was a very gung-ho. And Jose Miguel Alemán, another very popular Panameñista who never really became president. I know. Which he tried.
Who?
Jose Miguel Alemán.
Oh, yeah.
He tried, but it didn't happen for him, Mm-hmm. I mean, who knows? It's a poison chalice being president. I don't know if I'd want to be president or not.
If I had my choice, I'd rather be a dictator, I think.
I know. I think so, too, because you don't have to answer to people. People come at you like, hey, HP, you did this wrong. Be like, you know what? Off with your head. Yeah. Off with your head.
He's like, guess who's going to go live in Darien? You.
Oh. And then you send them away. Hey, you know what it says here? It says his name is Jose Miguel Alemán Gili. And you know Simón Tejeda. His name is Simón Tejeda Gili. Do you think they're related?
It's possible.
I don't know. Maybe Simón will be president one day. Who knows?
I want to take this opportunity to Ron Abuelo 12 years. Currently on special in Panama. Delicious. It's been a while. Really loving it. And also want to mention Little Brown Dog Aviation is our first paid sponsor. Check them out, littlebrowndogaviation.com. You can get Zonian t-shirts, Shorty and Slim t-shirts, and soon you're going to be able to find Rapid with Rapscallions t-shirts and hoodies.
That's right.
Designed by Joe.
Rock. You got to rock. Designed by Rapscallions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking a fall for this. If people say they suck, no way.
Yeah. We need to divide the responsibility.
That's right. Hey, man, you got to rock those hoodies, man. You got to rock the hoodies. Rock the hoodies. So then Martin Torrijos is president, right? Yeah. And I would like to think that maybe one of the biggest things that happened during his tenure as president was a referendum para la ampliación del Canal de Panama. What do you think?
Indeed, I do think. I think his vice president at the time, needs to be mentioned.
Who was his vice president? I totally forget.
Samuel Luis.
Ah, yes.
Samuel Luis Navarro. I was actually at I was by his side when the referendum was being counted.
Oh, word, man, you've been everywhere. HB, what was that like?
It was pretty well. You know what I told him? I was like, they asked me what did I think, and of course, what does the gringo think? That everyone hushed and looked down the table. It was kind of weird. Um, I told him I was like the referendum is going to go through, even though you're not going to see a lot of votes. I told him I was like, whenever I take a taxi, I can find the pulse of the nation by asking the taxi driver what his
Word.
opinion is on things, and you can that kind of gives you a, a wide and broad and general consensus on what's going to happen. The taxi
Truth.
driver, and I told him what he told me. I was like, "Eso va porque va." That thing's going. There's no need for us to vote because they're going to do it anyway.
Right.
And I was like, that's a valid argument. And I was like, but are you in favor of it? And the guy kind of broke down a little bit. The taxi driver kind of backed off a little bit, wasn't so steadfast. He's like, yeah, I think it's important. The canal is ours now, and we have to make it modern for the future. So
Yeah.
I voiced that opinion at the family dinner, and everyone shook their head for a little bit, and then we all looked back at the TV and were watching ballots being counted.
Hmm. And you were right, my friend. You were right. You were right. Yes,
Yeah,
one.
yes,
Yes, one.
one. I
Yes,
remember.
one.
I voted yes.
Yes. I
I
remember
I
I
had
voted no. I'm sorry I did. I voted no. I'm glad it happened though, because I thought it had to happen, but I was scared about the corruption and money laundering and all that crap. It made me nervous, guys. I believe in Panama though. I love this country. I love the
this
city.
is this is interesting, Joe. So how many years was it when Toro tried to get reelected and you were idealistic? That's when you
Yeah.
just got back to Panama. What year was that?
1998.
And from 1998 to 2004, was it when
Yeah.
when was the referendum?
No, the referendum must have been 2007, I think.
So how many years was
2000,
that? In
2006,
in
2007.
9 short years, your idealism was crushed. Was crushed by
It
the
went out the window.
it went out the window. It's like, oh man, this is so great. Corruption.
It broke me. It broke me.
Yeah,
What can I say? But I'm
it's
glad it
true.
happened. I'm glad it happened
Yeah,
though. I'm glad it happened. Don't get me wrong.
sure. Well, I had a lot of questions that weren't publicly available, but I had friends at my disposal who knew of such things. My first fear regarding the referendum was, is there enough water? You know,
Truth.
they
Yeah.
had they had been building a corredor norte, which sliced right through the watershed of the canal. And I was like, as soon as you build a road through rainforest, you know what happens?
What happens?
Trees get cut down. People start building houses on each side. So
Truth.
my first concern was, are they going to have enough water? Um, at the time when I voted yes, I didn't get a clear answer on that. My other concern was, can the neo we used to call them post Panamax ships, and that
Mm,
they got a marketing touch to that. It's called Neo Panamax now.
right.
So new Panamax instead of post
Post Panama.
Panamax. Those ships can't fit under the bridge. What are we going to do? So Danny, when he was on the show, reminded us, because he knew that I knew the answer. I was throwing it out there for him to answer. Was one of our friends who's a pilot told us that there's blackout periods right now. Because the Bridge of the Americas was built with the requirements of the old canal. When you have the Neo Panamax ships are huge,
Mm,
so at high tide, there's no way that they can fit under that bridge. So you have
word.
to. What they did is they dredged as much as they could, and there's a blackout period. So Neo Panamax ships can only go during certain hours, like mid
When the
tide and
tide is
lower.
low.
Right.
Wow, man. And let me tell you something. I paddled the Cayuco through there when the tide is super freaking low, and that tide goes low, super low, insane.
Hey, what does Panama mean, Joe?
Abundance of fish,
And what's the
or butterflies,
what was the
or
third?
mudfish.
Mudfish. Mudfish.
Depends who
I
you ask.
never in my 44 years, I mean my 34 years, have I heard that definition. But we found
Right.
it. We were preparing for last week's show, and we're we had the research department surrounding us,
That's
and we were
right.
typing away, and we found that definition.
Hey, crazy man. We can be the Mudfish. That should be the name of like our team. I think the
Yeah,
next national team that Panama has for whatever sport should be called the Panama City Mudfish,
exactly. Not the canaleros, the
not the
mudfish.
Canaleros. The Mudfish, man. Hey, you know what else happened during Torrijos's? I think a couple things actually happened during Torrijos's thing now, just coming back to my mind. So the whole Dia Telinglicol, remember the Dia Telinglicol?
Oh my
That
gosh.
happened. That happened during Torrijos's time.
Please
Not a good look.
tell us, because a lot of people don't know what that is. And
Not a good
the,
look.
the guy who busted the guy who busted it, and Panama wasn't the only country affected by that, but the guy in Panama busted it, and it went worldwide because of him. He's recognized by the UN. Tell
So
us,
it was
please
like
tell us.
this cough medicine that was imported from China, which had some sort of like industrial solvent or something in it, and they were giving this out to people from El Seguro Social as
Yeah,
cough medicine. Loads of people died.
yeah. And the people who didn't die from it were were crippled for life.
Yeah.
Respiratory problems, digestive problems. It's
Can you imagine all the elderly people that go to the Seguro Social religiously to get their meds?
Yeah.
Not a good look, man. Not a good
No,
look.
no, it's shameful, shameful.
Yeah.
So apparently, from what I heard, my ankle biting scoop on that is that they were trying to get cough medicine, and someone found it cheaper, so they brought the barrels in and repackaged it locally. But apparently, there was a high amount of this ethylene glycol. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
diethylene glycol.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, imagine you go to your hospital and they say, here's your form. Go to CVS, and they give you cough syrup with antifreeze in it,
Yeah.
and then you drink that,
Ridiculous.
and you die, coma, or are having effects for the rest of your life.
Ridiculous, man. And you know
So,
what else happened? Sorry, I don't want to keep talking about sad
no,
stuff, but I'm just a
yeah,
lot of stuff is coming
move
back to my
forward,
mind
move
right now.
forward, move forward.
A lot of stuff is coming back to my mind right now. Remember the bus that caught fire in near Osana in La Cresta? That
Yes. Oh
also
yeah.
happened during Martin Torrijos' time as president. 2006. That was tragic. And from that, they were like, oh, we need to improve our public transport because we can't have people taking buses that are going to catch fire. So what
Yes.
happened? They were like, we're going to bring in the Metro bus, right? They started that whole process of bringing in que si el Metrobús or el Transmilenio. So much crap. So much crap. And we still have Diablo Rojo dando vuelta por la calle driving like maniacs.
Oh man. Okay, so now that we've reached the transportista era, you know, so when people ask about the Ala Rojos, we think very it's it's a they're colorful. They might have some famous people. One day the rapscallions are going to be the back of a Diablo
That's right.
Rojo. You mark
That's right.
my
But a
words,
Diablo
Joe.
Rojo, but it's gonna be a Diablo Rojo with functioning brakes, air
Yeah,
conditioning, and
indeed.
all of its lights working. Brake lights and frontal night lights.
And a good exhaust system.
And a good exhaust system.
I think we're going to have an EV Diablo Rojo,
That's right.
electronic.
That's
We're
right.
gonna we're gonna get Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He was sitting next to me during the referendum.
And he asked you like, "Hey, what do you want to see in the future?"
I want we should do an episode on Diablo Rojos, man, because those are all
Yes.
U.S. school buses that
Yeah.
were brought
Yeah.
down to
Yeah.
Panama, and the paintings on them are wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, how they started was there was Saca buses, but then the transportistas were the cronies of Omar Torrijos, and these
Mm-hmm.
guys got a lot of power from that.
Yep.
So fast forward to your metro buses. Uh, so this happened. A bus burned up. Something had to be done. They brought in Metrobus to bring in modernized buses and transport system to Panama, and they said that in X amount of years, we'll buy the Diablo Rojos from the owners, and that way there will be some sort of indemnization because
Yeah.
Diablo Rojos will no longer be able to
Circulate.
circulate through the city of Panama. So I think that some people sold their Diablo Rojos multiple times,
Oh yeah.
multiple times. There's still Diablo Rojos circulating. And also, there's a Diablo Rojo graveyard out by Veracruz. We should do a show from
Uh,
there one day.
yeah, man. I never been. I would love to go there.
It's amazing.
So yeah, we were supposed at this time we should have no Diablo Rojos. There should be no Diablo Rojos in the street. We should have big, beautiful metro buses that comfortably transport people from point A to point B, and then they take their metro to get to point C, and everything works amazingly well. But it's not the case. Not the case. So let's stop talking about Martin Torrijos because it is 4:30 and we have 30 more minutes left of this show. You know who came after Martin Torrijos, my friend? You know who came after him? A man who walked in los zapatos del pueblo that everyone assumed would be the saving grace of Panama because he was a successful businessman. So if he was a successful businessman, he would obviously know how to successfully run the country. And this guy had a very...
anyone?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know, before you say his name, my godmother's father, Alvin Bletterman, he had Sears Roebuck here in Panama.
Right.
And he was a very successful businessman. And he said that he used Panama as an indicator on how things would turn out in the United States.
No way.
He said that. I mean, back in the 30s, he said this.
Right.
So I've always remembered my godmother telling me that over and over again. We would laugh, especially when this happened, which you were about to tell us about.
So this man, he made a pact with a very powerful man from another political party to achieve success in the presidency. So this man became friends with a dude named Juan Carlos Varela, the owner of that company that HB is sniffing that delicious and beautiful bottle of Ron Abuelo there. And together they achieved success in 2009. This guy is Ricardo Martinelli. You may know him as the owner of Super 99 Supermarkets.
Yes.
And it's interesting that you mentioned his how similar he is to Trump, because also Trump was was elected on the thought of he knows what the people want. And everybody was like, man, Martinelli, camina los zapatos del pueblo.
So does that mean
even though
that,
he's a billionaire?
How can we correlate Biden to Nito Cortizo?
I have no idea, man. I hope, fingers crossed, Biden is, you know.
Biden's going to be giving a speech and the map's going to fall off behind him.
Yeah, exactly. He'll have a map fall off and he'll be like, come on.
So for you guys in the States, at the beginning of the pandemic, Nito Cortizo, the president of Panama, is making the speeches about what we're going to do about the pandemic. And he has a beautiful map of Panama behind him. Yeah. And the tape unstuck.
Comes off the map and the map fell
over. And then so there was like 5 minutes of him looking like this and then someone coming in and patting it. So
somebody got fired or
scolded. It was quarantine times. But I would like to think that if I was the president, I would have gotten up and fixed it.
Yeah, I would have been like, man, this map, we need better tape.
Lo que Panamá necesita es personas que resuelva. Yo como presidente te voy a resolver. And then get up. He's like, give me some more tape. And then I would have taped it. He's like, vamos a echar tape a todo el país.
Yeah. We'll tape COVID up.
We're going to tape this country up until COVID's over.
That's right. So Martinelli won the election with Juan Carlos Varela. Yeah. I think, it's fairly obvious to say that the relationship soon turned sour because I don't think that they really ever got along. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I think it was a strategic move because if I remember correctly, Balbina Herrera was running for the PRD. And Balbina Herrera was like, she was jalando gente. I think it was Balbina Herrera for president, Juan Carlos Navarro for vice president.
Yes. Now, Balbina Herrera, she was, let's save it for Just Cause show. Okay. Balbina Herrera, yeah. I actually have a picture with Juan Carlos Navarro.
Man, do you have pictures of all the people in Panama?
And also with, I showed you the picture of me and Varela, right?
Yeah.
We'll put those up.
Man, you're like the hand that rocks the cradle.
Hey, I'm the Taylor of Panama, man. I've been very horrible at using my influence to make this country
like, what do you know about? I'm sure you have some dirt on Nito that he calls you every month or so. Like,
I met Nito
HB.
too. I met Nito in Colon. A lot of people, a lot of Zonies listening now will know who Captain Jody Chamberlain was. Jody was a very good friend of mine, and he was the master pilot of the Panama Canal. Joe, this guy was that guy was an incredible, incredible character. He was just bigger than life.
Right.
He met Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne when they came fishing down here.
Whoa.
He partied with Torrijos at the casinos and stuff. They were good friends, and I got to be good friends with him. My grandmother would play cards. Jody was a excellent card player, a very successful gambler. You know, he's just an astute guy.
Yeah.
My grandmother, though, she's the best card player I've ever met in my life,
Word.
and she used to kick his ass up and down the tables. And so when I talked to him, I would always remind him of that. He got a kick out of that. He's like, "Yeah, he was good, man." You know, and
Wow.
so I got to be good friends with Captain Chamberlain, and then there was a land dispute, and I was a real estate agent, so I was like, "I'll go with you. Let's go out there and check out the situation," because they were supposed to be kicking people off of a property. And Nito, in his elections, there was a defamatory video going around about how he was bad to the cattle ranchers out in Colon. It was the
Right.
same woman who was stealing land. She stole land from Captain Chamberlain, and she stole land from Nito. And I met Nito on that day trying to watch the police kick this Colombian lady out of those properties that she was just
Taking over.
usurping. She was just taking them over and threatening people and supposedly having people killed.
Whoa.
So when Nito started moving towards a political lifestyle, his brother took over the lands over there. But I met him, and I remember that I voted. No, I didn't vote for. I almost voted for Nito. I voted for Lombana, but I would have voted for Nito if he wasn't PRD, because
He wasn't.
you know he. When I met him and I shook his hand, I was like, this guy's an okay guy, you
He
know.
seems like a pretty nice, astute dude, man.
Yeah, he is. But
But I mean,
PRD is, I mean, it's the same den of thieves. So that's my opinion.
hey, we're getting ahead of ourselves, my friend, because right now we're still in 2009,
Ooh,
2014.
we got to go back in time.
Got to go back in time. We're talking about Martinelli's time as president now. So much crap happened during Martinelli's tenure. What happened specifically in Panama City? When did the Cinta Costera 3 get inaugurated? I'm thinking that
That's
happened.
later. That's later. That's towards the end.
No, man, the Cinta Costera. I'm gonna do a quick. I'm
Oh,
gonna
Cinta
holler at the
Costera 1 or the Cinta Costera 3?
Cinta Costera 1 was inaugurated, I think, during Martin Torrijos' time.
Yeah.
Let's see. It was completed in 2009. So just for Martinelli's term. Because I remember people were really excited around Martinelli's time because they were like, change is coming. It's all going to be great. And then all of a sudden he's like, you're right, it's going to be great because look what's finished. Cinta Costera. You know, it arrived with a gift, like a gift from him. And we were like, whoa, Cinta Costera, how amazing. And
That's
I mean,
true.
it's pretty good. It alleviated traffic because if you remember how Avenida Ottawa used to be, man,
Yeah.
that was
There's
cluster.
the original plans for that were Avenida Balboa would remain the same, back and forth traffic. And then they would add the Cinta Costera, which was 2 lanes going and 2 lanes coming,
Mm,
with parkland in between.
yeah,
What we got was a mishmash
yeah,
of the existing and the plan that was approved. So they kind
yeah.
of squashed it over and added another lane to the existing Avenida Balboa. So we didn't get what we were promised. And a lot of people need to take a look at that.
They do
I,
need to take a look at that. They
you know,
do
a lot
need
of
to
money was
take a
stolen
look at that.
on that deal.
But you know, he came in. Martinelli came very gung ho. Remember how he went to Amador and he put like a. Remember Figali had land over there and he busted into the land and he
Yeah.
put a
You
sign
haven't
on
paid
there that
rent.
said "Propiedad del Estado," and everybody was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
that
You know, I met
guy."
him
And he was
too.
like, "Come on."
I had a blood bank. I told you about my blood bank initiative, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I tried to modernize the blood banks of Panama because due to some due to the my involvement with certain people in real estate, they were asking if we could get plasma and make medical reactives out of them. I said,
Right.
well, let's find out. I can set up that business. We set up the meeting, and I left the meeting. I was like, holy cow, there's no blood in Panama. And then I started doing some investigations, and the United Nations ranks Panama in the least efficient category of the region as far as blood banks are concerned. So our blood banks are as bad as Haiti, whatever worst country you think is in the Central America.
That's really
We're
sad.
in. That's where we're at.
That's super sad.
So I met Martinelli. I went into his office, and he
You didn't
told
have any
me,
money for him?
I'll tell you verbatim what he told me.
What did he tell you?
He's like, I don't know shit about blood banks. I'm gonna get you a meeting with my Minister of Health. Oi, meet these guys on Tuesday. Thank you, gentlemen. Please make sure to come back and let me know if anything was done. Goodbye. In English.
Wow. Well, he did study in the U.S., so I'm assuming his English must have been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my story about meeting Martinelli.
There you go, man. So then Martinelli was doing his thing, and I think he had the whole Los Locos Somos Más. He had a very popular sort of thing. I think he was fairly popular throughout most.
He did suffer from certain mental aggravations, but then he embraced them. The opposition tried to tell everyone, oh, we have internet problems again, don't we? So we're not on the internet anymore, but I'm going to keep talking because we're recording, and maybe we can find some useful. Hey,
I'm back.
Every time we start talking about high-ranking officials, the internet goes out, dude.
I know, man, but they're so important to Panama City's history. We have to talk about them
Give
because
me
of them.
one second. I need to check the stream. I don't think we're actually. Are we broadcasting?
Instagram has been paused, but it was
Instagram is
going well.
My little light indicators show that we are not actually reaching the masses.
In Instagram, we were going well until it paused. Right now, it's paused.
Okay, we need to hold out a few seconds until.
Oh, we're live again.
There we go. Belleza.
Right. So, I forgot where I was. Anyways, Martinelli, Los Locos Somos Más, Camino los Zapatos del Pueblo. When he came to the next elections, remember he had that guy. Who was the guy? Who was the guy that he had running for his party?
Oh, Arias.
Yeah, he had him, and he was like super certain he was going to win. And I remember he was running against Juan Carlos Varela.
That was his sock puppet.
Yeah, man, and that's what people thought. But I remember that on the election day, he was like, he was all over Panama. People were like, Martinelli, Arias, and he had Martinelli's wife as his running mate. But then Varela came along and basically said, hey guys, I'm going to finish all the stuff he started. Because remember, he started the metro. And he started a bunch of stuff. So then you would have thought that if Arias, they would have been like, man, Arias is coming after him. He's going to finish the metro. But then Varela said, I'm going to finish the metro. So then the people were like, I guess he's going to finish the metro.
Panama, such an interesting place.
Ridiculous. But yeah, Juan Carlos Varela won. He finished the metro, and then he also started prosecuting all the people in Martinelli's government because he was like, y'all a bunch of snakes. I don't like you guys. Even though we were friends at one point, we're not friends anymore.
You know who my partner was on the blood bank project?
Juan Carlos Varela.
Arnulfo Arias Olivares.
I'll tell you, man, you have your spoons and all the pies.
I still couldn't make a blood bank here, no matter how hard I tried, dude. That shit was a massive failure, dude. Massive failure.
You know what? If people want to see the blood bank survive, they should give money to rapscallions.
Yeah. That's why one of the reasons that I went into acting, I was like, I would have a better time making a blood bank in Panama if I was a famous actor.
That's right.
I was like, I'm so done with these people. I'm going to become an actor and then come back and use my actorial influence to fix the blood bank.
That's right, man. That's what it is. Rapscallions. We love the blood. Mm-hmm. And you know what Juan Carlos Varela also finished when he became president? Cinta Costera 3. Super controversial project because it went around Casco, and UNESCO was again like, y'all are fools. We're going to take your UNESCO World Heritage Site.
I'm glad you brought this up because this brings me back to the problem with the Bridge of the Americas, right?
Yeah.
The Neo-Panamax ships cannot fit under the Bridge of the Americas, so they've always proposed a new bridge, the Cinta Costera Tres wasn't to be approved until the, what do you call it, the landing site, the point of when you have a new bridge is the part
Mhm.
where you drive up, right?
The road,
Yeah, the road, the ramp.
the ramp.
Okay, so you can't build a Cinta Costera Tres
Uh,
until you've decided where the ramp for the new bridge is going to be.
right.
But they're like, I only got 10 minutes left in office.
This is getting done.
Build it. Give me my money. I'm out of here.
Pieced out, and we still don't have another bridge.
Nope.
I think they're still trying to figure that out. Supposedly it's gonna go in La Boca, but I don't know.
And does anyone know what's going on over in Arrejan? What is that for? Is that for the new bridge? Is that for the metro? Is that a road?
I don't know, man. I think it's just roads. It's just roads and deforestation
Yeah.
for the heck of it. For the heck of it. For the heck of it. And you know what else happened during Varela's tenure
What happened?
as president? The Panama Papers.
Ooh,
The Panama Papers, man, that was super controversial.
super controversial.
Because
And
all
Joe and
these
I are
mofos
supposed
had
to have
monies.
papers. We're supposed to have roles in that movie. Maybe we shouldn't
supposedly.
talk about that.
Supposedly. I don't know, yeah.
Vamos a
Panama
ver.
Papers. I mean,
That if for those who don't know, what happened was that a company, not a company, but a journalism company in Germany got their hands on the private transactions of what was going on in a law firm in Panama.
and there was a lot of transactions.
Yeah. Now, personally, I don't have any problem with that. It's not Panama's responsibility
It's not.
to police the citizens of other nations.
No. And it really upset me that they called it the Panama Papers, man. Because this has happened in other countries and they don't call it like, not to say that it happened in Canada, but if it were to happen in Canada, because nothing bad happens in Canada, it's a great place to live. But I'm sure if it were to happen there, they wouldn't be like the Canada Papers. They probably call it like
The
I don't know, man.
Maple Leaf Papers.
The
I don't
Maple
know.
Leaf Papers or something, or something that doesn't draw negative press to Canada.
I was kind of upset at the ineffectiveness of Varela during that term because,
Yeah,
to me, a few things happened because of the Panama Papers. One, intellectual property was stolen from uh, a company in Panama, right? And how come no one said that? No one said, "Hey, this is outright pirate theft. Someone
yeah.
broke into a private company and stole information."
Private documents, sure.
Uh, and then France put Panama on the blacklist for what's it called? Not exposure, but transparency.
Yeah,
So Panama got blacklisted. I would have liked Varela to show some cojones, drink a shot of abuelo and say, first of all, our country has been invaded. A cyber attack has been committed against our country. In our
yeah.
country, it's not illegal to own Sociedad Anónimas.
No,
You know,
no.
why
He should
isn't
have grabbed
someone
his
talking about
machete,
that?
man, and been all like bang, 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 bang.
Bang, bang, bang. Hey, France, you know what? We're going to deprioritize your ships in our canal.
Yeah,
F you. Come on.
yeah.
Why
Truth,
not?
truth, truth, truth.
Do you know that the SAA, the Sociedad Anónima, is the primary force behind the Industrial Revolution? And now they want to get rid of it? Oh,
Yeah.
a topic for another show, Joe.
For another show, indeed, indeed. But I hear you, man, and I think it was just yeah, it totally dragged Panama's name through the mud.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they shouldn't be going after Panama. They should be going after all the other mofos that were trying to get
Right.
illegal stuff done.
Yeah. So what Panama, what they're supposed to do is when someone shows up here with cash, we're supposed to figure out where it's at, or should the country that it was robbed from figure that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll leave that to you, for you to decide.
You humble listeners, I'm sure there's many opinions out there, but Panama didn't do anything illegal. That's not currently being done in the United States.
Nope. And we got our name dragged in the mud.
Yeah.
And the place where all this was happening is in Panama City. And And you know what else happened in Panama City during Varela's tenure as president, my friend? World Youth Day. Hey,
What?
remember? Yeah, man. Woohoo! 2019.
I
That was
definitely
only
remember.
last year. It feels like it was decades ago.
What?
Decades ago.
Oh, wait. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When was the saneamiento de la Bahía?
Oh, that's a good question,
That's
man.
part of Cinta Costera 1, so that's Martinelli, right?
Yeah.
Ah,
And they're
okay.
still sanándolo.
So that's we had again I've taken us back in time, but it was very important because they
2001 actually.
beautiful.
Wow. That was during Mireya's term then.
Really?
Yeah, man.
I thought it was Martinelli.
No, it says here it started. I guess maybe they had the idea in 2001. Maybe somebody was like, "Hey, you know what we should do? Let's clean the bahia." And they were like, "Hmm,
Clean the Bahia. You remember when
yeah,
we had Mike Bolton on the show?
for sure."
That was the Bay of Panama used to be the largest breeding ground for hammerheads in the Western
Word,
Hemisphere. So,
word.
lots of flora and fauna, lots of life happening in the Bay of Panama. However, Panamanians, too much doo doo.
We like throwing crap in the water, man.
So we as a collective poisoned our own Bay of Panama, and they decided to do the saneamiento de la bahía. They're gonna start doing a waste treatment towards the effluents that flows into the bay.
And when you drive on the Corredor Sur towards the airport, when you're heading towards Costa del Este, on the left-hand side, I think you can see one of the plants there
Yeah, yeah.
that handles all
Pueblo
that.
Nuevo, I think.
Yeah. So that's like a pretty good initiative, which yeah, apparently it was initiated in 2001. Somebody had the idea. And but you're right, Cinta Costera, when it came up, that was one of the main things was that they were trying to get that area clean. I guess eventually in the future we'll be able to swim there. Supposedly the mayor of Panama right now, he wanted to like start building beaches there, and people were like,
Yeah,
"No man, go boink yourself."
yeah. He's tried. I think he's tried twice now. Uh, but anyways, cleaning the sewage definitely necessary for a
For
country
sure.
that has so many high rises, that has a canal, that has a diamond burser, that has a banking center, that is the international hub of transport. We haven't
Mm,
talked about
we haven't talked
Tucuman
about
Airport.
that. Tocumen
Yeah,
Airport, man. It went from being like this to being like big, man. Big.
yeah.
And again, several different presidents were working on this. I think now we're still waiting on the expansion of the airport to be finished, but this started during Martinelli's time, didn't it?
That I do not have knowledge of.
I
I
think
think
so.
you're. No, it was Varela, right? No, you're right. Martinelli.
I think it was during Martinelli's time when Tocumen, when they were like, we're gonna expand Tocumen International Airport, and supposedly they were gonna have the new part open so that the Pope could arrive there. So for the JMJ, it was supposed to be started. It was supposed to be finished. I'm sorry, so that the Pope could arrive through there and people would have already been there. So the Pope still came through. So it was in 2016, 2006 when they started the renovation.
Okay.
So this was during Martin, and it was supposed to be finished already when the Pope came through. However, he came through there, but it wasn't fully finished, and I think they're still kind of working on it. I don't know, man. These things always take time. You think
Yeah.
they would have a schedule? Project management, guys. Come on, that's project management 101.
Project management. Hello.
Project management 101. So the Pope came, World Youth Day 2019. I think everybody thought it was going to be like a mess,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It was actually
A
pretty
lot
good
less
vibes.
people showed up than we thought.
Thank the good Lord Jesus Christ. Because I think if
Yeah.
they would have shown up, then we would have been like,
And I kind of I ran for the hills. Like I live in Casco Viejo, which is one of the main places that he was going to visit, and there was the
yeah.
controls. We had to we had to submit documents, why we lived in Costco, get ID cards, this and that, and we did it, and then we had to do it again. It was kind of a clusterfuck. So we thought we better get out of town if this is the level of
Mm.
organization they're going to have. Probably won't be going so well. So we kind of left, but I think I should have stayed in Costco. I would have gotten some nice footage.
You
It
would have,
turned
man,
out to be very peaceful.
and you would have probably have gotten to like wave at the Pope because I remember seeing the video. I mean, of course, for work, I was heavily involved in just like stuff with the
Yeah.
World Youth
Yeah.
Day. But I remember seeing the footage of Casco, I mean, the streets were relatively empty, and he was in his Pope mobile, and there were people like, "Hey, Pope Francis," and he was all like, "What's happening?"
So I could have added that of my list of people that I met.
Seriously, I mean, knowing you, he would have probably been like, "Stop the car."
Yeah, I think he was in Costco on my birthday too.
That's very possible. He would have been like, "It's your birthday today. Let's take a picture."
And you know what one of my AKAs is, right?
No doubt.
Dope
Dope
Francis.
Francis. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm sure he would have taken you for a ride in the Pope mobile, and you both would have been there like, "What's up, guys?"
Would have been like putting my titties on the glass, like.
So that was 2019. And now it's safe to say I don't remember anything else that happened in 2019. All I know is now we're in 2020 and it's been a terrible year.
Yeah. Madness. I think it's 4:54. We have 6 minutes to wrap this up.
Yes.
And what else could we need to say then? COVID.
COVID. We're still alive though. Hey, and COVID brought Rapping with Rapscallions. Sundays at 3.
True. Hugs. Virtual hugs to you, my friend.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And to all our fam scallions out there.
Hugs. We send the hugs out. The hugs
out.
out.
Can we talk about next week's episode? I'm really excited about next week.
We have to. We have to. Tell them all about it, please.
So in case you guys don't know, in case you guys have been living under a rock, Shorty and Slim are dropping a Christmas album, y'all. They're dropping a Christmas album, Jingle Bells, Jingle Bells. It's some amazing tunes. It's dropping. Is it still dropping on the 8th of December?
If not the whole thing, then times are new. You just drop some singles,
You just drop singles.
You drop singles. You don't go to the store and buy an album.
You don't.
The
just
kids
drop
these
singles.
days, they don't need records. They
No,
need
don't.
tracks. They need tracks.
That's true. So they're dropping some tracks, and we're gonna have them on the show next week to talk about their new Christmas album.
Joe, wait, Joe. Isn't there like a collaboration in there somewhere? Who?
Word. There's a super awesome, which I'm not gonna tell you the title of it just yet, but it has a collaboration with these pretty cool, awesome dudes who go by the names of Rapscallions. Sure to be your favorite Christmas song ever.
I got an advanced version. We got the final cut last night, and I can tell you that Karina and I have had it on repeat. We've been listening to it. We listened to it all morning. We listened to it right up to the last minute before we started broadcasting the show. This is a good song. Everybody gonna love it.
And you better just wait when there's a live concert, when Shorty and Slim and the Rapscallions get together. So wait for that. So this week, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do HB and I's favorite Christmas songs of all times. You're gonna be hearing those transmitted through our social medias, and we're just gonna bombard you with these.
Yeah.
Until Sunday, when we hear the most epic Christmas album of 2020,
Right.
Shorty and Slim Christmas album.
We're gonna have the Shorty and Slim Christmas album launch show here on Rapping with Rapscallions. It's gonna be epic. I guarantee you that.
For sure, man. Christmas vibes. So make some mulled wine or make some glue vine or get your favorite Christmas drink or beverage. Wear your Santa hat, your Christmas shirt.
And I want to remind everyone that the song at the beginning of today's show and the song that we're going to go out with today was a collaboration between Shorty and Slim and Rapping with Rapscallions. And you can find all their songs, including the delicious ones with the Rapscallions, on saspanama.bandcamp.com. Everyone out there loves Shorty and Slim. Go there, support them. The albums are very well priced. Check out Panama City. That's the song you're going to hear at the end of the show.
That's right.
So what else? How do we wrap this show up? Do we need words of peace from Joe? How are we gonna sign off today?
I'm just gonna give some knowledge, if I can share some peaceful insight, man. Guys, hey, the pandemic is still raging. There's a vaccine coming. It's coming soon, guys, but you still need to look out for each other. Yesterday there were 2,300 new cases of COVID out there. We don't want you guys to get COVID. I mean, I don't want to get COVID. HB doesn't want to get COVID. We don't want you and your loved ones to get COVID. We realize Mother's Day is coming up in Panama City. In Panama as a whole, it's important that you see your mama and you love your mama, but you don't want to give your mama COVID. All right? So just give her a Zoom call. Give her a WhatsApp video call. Send her flowers. order some food via one of these food delivery apps and
Yeah.
send them to your mama.
Yeah.
But I know it's hard. Times are hard on the boulevard. We all
You
want
can
to
do
hug
it,
and
though.
feel the embrace. And we will soon. So
Sending
just be safe.
virtual hugs.
Virtual hugs.
Thank you, Joe. I always enjoy your send offs. They're very motivational, very loving, very soothing.
Thank you.
The good thing about being in a group like Rapscallions is that I can text message Joe and it's like, Joe, I'm feeling kind of down. Can you send me a little positive motivational voice note? And he does it. And then the rest of the day I'm feeling great. So thanks, Joe, for signing us off.
Hey,
Thank you,
thank you.
all of you guys, for tuning in. It was great fun talking over Panama. We got into a little bit of ankle biting and dirt throwing, but hey, we're here to have fun.
That's right.
Next week, we're going to have Shorty and Slim on the show, their launch party for their Christmas album. It's got some great songs on it, one of which is with the Rapscallions. Awesome song. Been listening to it all day. And then on the 20th, we're going to have a invasion episode. We're going to talk about the invasion. Several points of view there. All right. 4:59, I think. 5 o'clock. All right, it's time to go. The song you're hearing now is Panama City, written in collaboration with Shorty and Slim. Find it on saspanama.bandcamp.com. Tune in every Sundays at 3 p.m. Thank you. Goodbye.
Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad. Ay, mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important to know this date because it's the day that we celebrate. Pedro Arias Davila received from the King of España official doctrine for the fealty to be named Panama City, Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, bella mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama, a fishing village it was formerly, right upon the coast of the sea. Cathedral tower built up toward the sky, you can hear that bell toll far and wide. At this time within the nation, there was a very small population, only 100 people or so. First European settlement on Pacific coast, Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. The Camino Real, it paved the way, and in this Isthmus it had to stay all the way to Nombre de Dios. If you go now, you can hear them ghosts. Whoa! Riches came up out of Peru. Many ship and the pirates knew all the pearls, silver and gold. Panama City was Pacific stronghold. Then they crossed Panama by mule. Tropical diseases was very cruel. Finally arrived to Atlantic coast, departing for Spain from Nombre de Dios. Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad, ay mi Panama. Bienvenidos a Panama. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important you know this date because it's the day that we celebrate. 15 August 1519, the beginning of a dream. It is important to know this date because this the day that we celebrate. Panama City, Panama City. Welcome to Panama, bella ciudad.